Howdy folks, I'm Brian,
I'm Amber.
and here's some Reddit. But before we begin, I just want to make an announcement that from here till an unspecified amount of time, I'm probably just going to be recording Monday through Friday. I will eventually start recording on the weekends again, but for now, I need to take some time on the weekends. I have some things I need to get accomplished, some big projects I've been working on, so I apologize. I just need to block out those weekends. But I will be recording Monday through Friday, and maybe if you haven't been able to watch the episodes throughout the week, you'll have some time to catch up on the weekends. Who knows? But anyhow, let's get started. Our first letter is titled, "Am I a jerk for not telling my boyfriend I took out student loans and now want to buy a horse?" Burner account. I'm a 25-year-old female and my boyfriend, a 25-year-old male, are in medical school and law school, respectively. We lived together for 2 years in one apartment, and this year we moved to our new city where the cost of living is higher than before. In the old apartment, I was an undergrad and he was working as a mechanic. We agreed that I would move in and pay him what my parents gave me for housing, and that seemed like a good situation. This ended up in about a 60-40 split in the apartment. He had already been living there, and this was more of a windfall than a detriment for him. When I graduated and was accepted to medical school and he to law school in the same city, we were thrilled that we would be able to continue to live together so we could build a life. When he asked about my living arrangements and how we would split the new place, and I told him that I would have a significant amount of debt from med school and didn't want to take out any more. He seemed upset, but his scholarship and military status meant he wouldn't have a lot of debt coming out. But this would mean that we would have to sacrifice the apartment and where we lived, but he agreed. When I started med school and took out my loans, I took additional money out as a nest egg in case I needed it. I did not tell him about the loans. The arrangement ended up that my parents paid the rent the same as before, and he paid the rest. Now more along the lines of a 70-30 split with the increased cost. Now that the school year is over, I still have my nest egg. I want to use it to buy my first horse, as I'm a professional horse rider for others. This horse is about $10,000, and I have arrangements for low stable fees. The horse's lineage means that this would be a great investment long-term, as well as achieving a life goal. I told this to my boyfriend and offered him to buy into the investment now, and he's very upset with me and wants to talk later. So, am I the jerk? Alright, OP. I mean, it's a really bad idea to use student loans to buy anything other than your education. And the reason why is that student loans can't be discharged. I know you're looking at this as an investment, but this would be more along the same lines as someone who uses their student loans to finance a house. Sure, this actually might pay off, and it might be an investment that you actually could make some money off of. Seeing as how you're a professional horse rider, that does actually factor into here. You know what you're doing, but this might be the wrong time, and this might be the wrong place for doing something like this. What would stop you in the future from taking out a $10,000 loan and buying a horse after you're in a more stable position? Or what would stop you from saving aside more money to get a horse? You could also talk to your boyfriend and be like, hey, I want to pay a little less per month so that I can save up for a professional horse, so that I can actually have a professional horse and continue my career and move forward. I think that you're not necessarily ill-intentioned here. I don't think that you were meaning to be deceptive to your boyfriend. You have this money left over from your student loans that you didn't end up using, and it doesn't sound like you went into this knowing that you were going to take that $10,000 and set it aside for frivolous type things. You set it aside because you might need it for your education. I can understand why your boyfriend might be a little upset because you're now coming out with this, oh, I want to take $10,000 and buy a horse for it when he's paying a majority of the housing costs. I'm not a financial advisor, but I have made some good financial decisions in the past. You need to make your own decisions, your own financial decisions about what's going to be best. But I do think financing a horse on a student loan would be a really bad idea because, again, you can't discharge that loan And if you wanted to, if for some reason you couldn't get through med school or any number of things, and you now had a lot of college debt, that's only going to hurt you in the future. I just think that your boyfriend's probably upset because he feels like this is blindsiding him since he's had to pay for 70% of the housing costs, and now suddenly you have $10,000 that you want to buy a horse with. So, yeah. Anyhow, take care and good luck. You're the jerk. Your nest egg is just extra debt, and you deliberately withheld it from your partner, who, together with your parents, have been paying your way for years. If you really have $10,000 laying around, maybe get your boyfriend a gift, take him on a holiday. If you want a horse, you could buy into someone else's horse as an investment. It would still be a jerk move, but not as much damage. Also, consider that med school and law school are not as redditabile as TV makes them out to be. It would take you guys decades to get established enough in your professions that you can pay back your loans and start investing in yourselves. You're potentially looking at many, many more years of school, including specialization degrees and unpaid internships. So you're not at a place to invest $10,000 in something that you just enjoy and can die, require bet fees, and become a worthless stud, etc. You're the jerk, you need to tell him, but you should also be using that money to pay back your loans instead of a horse. It's not a necessity, and the fact that you can't be honest about finances is the bigger issue. Alright, our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for not eating my sister's eggs? I'm a 28-year-old female. My older sister, a 35-year-old female, Anita, has been keeping chickens for around 4 years. Over time, it has slowly become her entire life. For example, her husband, Frank, supports the family, but she has always maintained a part-time job. 2 years ago, she quit to stay home full-time because her babies, the chickens, needed her. She didn't even do this with her actual kids, a 15-year-old male, a 13-year-old male, and a 12-year-old female, while they were small. She misses social events, sports games, etc. if the timing doesn't work out with her chicken schedule. Anita will only cook with the eggs from her chickens. She insists on hosting all family events. At each one, there's this little ritual that she does where she'll put out 2 versions of the same kind of egg dish, like deviled eggs, egg salad, quiche, etc. One is made with store-bought eggs, and the other is made with her chicken's eggs, and demands that everyone eats both and casts a vote for which is better, to demonstrate how much better her eggs are. Frank does not participate because he won't eat her eggs after an incident that puts him off, but everyone else is expected to. This past weekend, for the 4th, she made deviled eggs. My husband fixed me a plate of food while I was talking to my dad, which included 1 egg. The egg he grabbed happened to be from the store-bought plate. My sister quickly came over and reminded me that I needed to eat a real egg as well so I could vote. I told her no thank you, I wanted 1 egg. I was struggling with my weight for several years, and I've lost around 20 pounds in the last 9 months. I don't want to starve myself by any means, but I'm careful about my portion control. And I was only having a little thing of each so I could try the food that everyone had brought. Also, I just didn't want a second egg. After repeatedly trying to make me eat a second egg, my sister finally said, "Fine, don't have one. I don't want to be blamed when you get fat again." I've had a few times where I've lost weight and it's gained back. As we were going to leave, my sister came up to me holding a large container full of her chicken's eggs and told me to take them home so I could see how much better they were, since I refused to participate in the game. I got irritated and said, "No, Anita, I don't want your eggs. I have eggs at home. We've all played along with your petty egg thing for years. I know what they taste like. Stop." She made a face and then ran upstairs to her room and began sobbing loudly enough for everyone to hear her from downstairs. Since then, I've gotten texts from my mom telling me to apologize, from my dad telling me that my mom wants me to apologize, and from Anita telling me that I humiliated her in her home and that she doesn't want me around her kids because I'll poison them against her, and that it's probably my fault that Frank won't eat her eggs anymore. And then she's accusing me of having an affair with Frank. Really, an affair with Frank? Where did that even come from? OP, no, I don't think that you're the jerk in this situation. You didn't want to eat her eggs. Maybe you were a little petty and mean with the whole everyone's played along for years, blah, blah, blah stuff. This is a bad situation for you. She's being mean to you and saying some mean things and trying to force you to take home her eggs. This is a really odd situation, and I feel sorry for your sister. The thing is that she's very proud of these eggs, so in the future, maybe you should just take some of her eggs and eat those because she's really proud of them. Explain to her that you just aren't interested in eating eggs as much as she is. I don't know. This is oddly obsessive of your sister. I would sit down and talk to her. I would consider having an intervention with your family and even potentially her husband and discuss what's going on here and that they really enjoy her eggs, but it's the whole contest that she holds each time is really unnecessary and people don't want to be subjected to that. And it's a lot of extra effort to make a whole nother dish just featuring her two different types of eggs. It's a little odd. So yeah, I don't think that you're the jerk in this situation. I just think that your sister has some troubles. Anyhow, take care and good luck. Not the jerk, and I think you must already be aware that your sister is not mentally well. OP replies, I know that she sees a psychiatrist and takes medication for a diagnosed panic disorder, so I suppose this could be related to that. My less generous side suspects that this is just her reaction to being told no, as that's the only time she's behaved like this, and her panic attacks are usually very different under different circumstances. She's kind of the squeaky wheel in the family, and it's always been an unspoken rule that we humor her unless we have a really good reason not to. That's odd. That's why she's acting out then. No one has ever told her no. This is kind of the family's fault for propagating this behavior. So wait, she buys eggs from the store with money, even though she has laying chickens at home, just to make everyone eat store-bought eggs, and then tell her that hers are better? A bit much. Not the jerk. I love farm fresh eggs, and I would only ever eat bad store eggs in front of her, insisting that they were the best. That's mean.
That's what I was thinking too.
Amber's like, that's what I would do.
No, that's not what I would do. That was what I was thinking. I'm too non-confrontational, but in my head I'd be like...
Not the jerk. This chicken/egg thing seems to have turned her into a shell of a woman. She seems yoked to this job of raising them. Well played. Well played. Nicely laid. I have nothing negative to say. I'ma let you finish, but I agree that OP is not the jerk. OP shouldn't have walked on eggshells, even if the rest of her family are too chicken to stand up to sis. I just think it's really scrambled her brains. Doesn't seem like this will be over easy. It's crazy of her to accuse OP of trying to poach her husband because of this. If they do divorce, she's clearly not well enough to get custody of the kids. You people. She's cracked up. This is gonna go on for a while, folks. I'm just gonna keep reading egg puns. You, my dear, have a devilish sense of humor. She just wanted an egg-stravaganza. Oh my, that is foul. Agreed, it's always best to keep a sunny side up type of perspective. Excellent. I'm too late. All the good eggs have been poached. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider giving me a like. If you didn't, consider giving me a dislike. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.